Good evening, campers, dreamers, and babysitters, and welcome back to another episode of Prime Time Terrors. On tonight's episode, we'll be talking about Chucky Season 2, Episode 4. Luke, how are we feeling about Chucky so far?
Chucky so far, I mean, like we talked about it last week, and it really got going. A lot of questions to be answered. Really started really feeling like Chucky, and then we kind of, I think, with episode 4 here, we took a little bit of a break. Maybe they wanted to let us kind of marinate with what had happened last week to kind of get away from everything there. I did find it fun, the opening of Chucky kind of hosting the show and stuff like that. I think. We talk about it. They really lean in the tongue-in-cheek stuff here, and I think it's great. So this episode was pretty interesting. I mean, I was disappointed that we didn't get to kind of see the fallout from last week, and we kind of have to wait another week. But kind of taking that break and kind of seeing, what's going on with Glenda, and Tiffany / Jennifer Tilly, all this stuff is always a fun time, I think.
Yeah, for me, it really felt like a lot of inside baseball for Chucky fans. Again, there's a lot of characters in here that just kind of popped up. I don't know the significance of them because I've only seen the first and second one. I assume that these are a lot of Bride of Chucky and Seed of Chucky
Yes.
callbacks in this episode. It's just one of those things where for me, if there were a lot of cutesy callbacks, then it just wasn't hitting. But I like the overall aesthetic. You're right. We did kind of take a break from the story, which overall I have to say is a bit of a disappointment for this episode.
Yes.
Because like you, I know that we were both excited for where they had left off with the last one. I thought the last episode was really strong. Like I said, I was back on board with everything. And this one, I'm not saying that I'm off the wagon again, but it is just one of those things where it's like, okay, so next week we'll kind of get back hopefully into the swing of things. It looks like it from the little preview we got.
Yeah. And that's where it's like I think the series is self-aware enough that they knew what they were doing, where it was like, oh no, we're gonna make you wait for it, especially with Chucky kind of coming on at the end, where we had the cameo from Liv Morgan from WWE, and him kind of saying, oh well, maybe you missed some killing from me this week, so they kind of go ahead
Mm-hmm.
and do it, and then they show the preview for next week. So I mean, like, this series is so self-aware that I feel like they were like, no, we're gonna make the fans wait. I don't think this was an unintentional misstep on their point or on their end. I think they were just gonna kind of like, we're gonna make you wait, and not jump right into it.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I do like the progression of the Nika stuff in this. I'm happy
Yeah.
that we kind of got her out of the house. And I like seeing Kyle back into it, of course, but all of that comes at the end of the episode. So it's kind of like as we're moving through, it's kind of funny, it's interesting, it's a murder mystery to an extent. But yeah, I would just say that for me, really kind of anticipating seeing where we were going to go with good Chucky and then the buff Chucky and everything going on at the actual like place where they've been, the little school. I was kind of really looking forward to seeing more resolution with that. And that's just not what we got. But again, it is a fun episode. Like you said, it is a detour. And I think that maybe this was intentional to kind of, because we're into our Halloween week
Yes.
essentially here. It's kind of like, let's take a break, let's have some fun. We can step out of the story for a little bit. For me though, I'm just gonna say that I would really need these last few episodes because this is an 8 episode season. I
I
think the
believe
last one was
so.
8, so this is
Uh,
halfway through.
yeah, I
Uh,
don't know if they've extended it. Sometimes you
mhm.
start with 8 and then you get 10. So I don't know if that's the route they're going. I haven't looked up to see if they had released a list of how many episodes are going to be this season. But yeah, it's 8 or 10, I'm sure.
I can find out for us. But yeah, I think really I'm gonna need to see a significant ramp up here for me, personally, just because I want to kind of start getting into the meat of it. Because like that's what I was saying about the first season is like they really get things ramped up rather quickly. And then they never really let up the entire season. And I think I really like the way that flowed a lot better.
Yeah.
There are 8 episodes. So these
8, okay.
last 4 episodes, I'm really hoping that we kind of start, opening the doors. And it seems like that's what they're setting up with the ending of this episode, getting Nika out of there. Kyle's back, like we might see Andy again. We might get some resolution into that. But overall, I think for a diehard Chucky fan, this episode is going to be one for the books. I feel like, a lot of people are going to really enjoy the Jennifer Tilly stuff and that with the kind of stuff going on there and all the references and everything. But as kind of an outsider to the series, yeah, I think that this was just, again, another kind of lull in the season for me.
Yeah, and like you were saying, we're in the Halloween season right now. I definitely equate this being their Halloween special almost, with Chucky hosting and kind of kicking it back to the show being so self aware. Just a standalone episode of something that they wanted to do a little bit different, which I understand. But yeah, I agree where it kind of falls in. If the season started a little bit later and this was maybe episode 2 and they decided to do this, I think it wouldn't be that big of a hindrance. But when you kind of leave off with such a strong ending to episode 3 and you're really expecting that for the episode 4 and you don't really get it, I think it's kind of a weird placement. It kind of felt oddly here. So I don't know if I would have went ahead and done this, at this time, just because if we're going to 8 episodes, you only have another 4 to really get going, which they have more than enough time to, especially with the pacing of the last episode. So I expect the next 4 episodes to be kind of a nonstop thrill ride. I mean, if they're not, then I think I'll probably be a little more harsh on those episodes, just because I think that's what you definitely need here in terms of storytelling, especially to live up to that season 1 and kind of the pace that they set there. I mean, like we talked about last week, they're off to an intriguing trajectory. Now that we've got Nika out of the house, I'm curious to see how this is all going to end up and intertwine with the, Glenn, Glenda, and everyone kind of almost going to be giving chase, I think, in a sense. So I'm curious to see now, having these characters out and about, are they going to run into the old crew here? Is this all going to just kind of all end up at the Catholic school, or uh, is that what we're working toward? Because I can totally see that just all hell breaking loose here in the next few episodes.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm hoping for. I think that we will get there. Again, I just think that this season was off to kind of a slow start, and we kind of started building things up. So it's tough for me to kind of have another lull. But I still gotta say, like I said, if I was in the know for the Chucky stuff a little bit more, if I had done my due diligence and watched Bride and Seed, I'm sure I would have been all over these cameos and
Yeah.
the references and everything, and I would have had a lot of fun. I already saw on Twitter before we got on here a little bit some reactions to it, and people seem to be loving it, and I'm super happy for them. Like, I mean, diehard Chucky fans, that's great. They definitely got a fun episode tonight. And I think that overall, when I do end up watching those films, maybe I'll go back to this season and I'll start picking up on this a little bit more, and it will be more fun for me.
Yeah.
But as I've said in episode reviews past here, when we kind of divert ourselves from the main trio, it's tough for me to really get into the swing of things. I think,
Yeah.
and it looks like that's probably, like you said, we're kind of heading out of that, and we're probably going to start colliding these two stories together here shortly.
Yeah, and we had been working toward the anticipation of getting Glenn and Glenda actually on screen, which we haven't seen. That character since Seed of Chucky. So having them on was very intriguing, just to kind of see what they were up to and kind of how they don't remember too much of what was going on before they were transferred, in terms of remembering like shit face and stuff like that. I thought was interesting, and not really remembering where they came from. So I think that was kind of an interesting dynamic. And, the more Jennifer Tilly for me, the better. I mean, she's just so much fun to see on screen. The way she carries herself, has such a handle on that Tiffany character, that it's always so much fun to see. So, not a bad episode. Just I wish we would have went into more in line with the story that we were getting last week. But I understand they wanted to take a break. So what we did get, I think, was a lot of fun. It just, I wanted something more in terms of story.
I agree. Alrighty. Well, I think that's probably going to wrap us up for our thoughts on this episode. Not much to say tonight because, like I said, this was kind of self-contained. But overall, I will leave it off by saying again that if you're a fan of this series, if you know the films very well, I'm sure this is a great episode, a fun episode for you. As a casual fan, you might walk away feeling like me a bit disappointed. But overall, I'm still involved. I'm still excited to see what comes next. Like I said, I just kind of hope these last 4 episodes really ramp us into something cool here.
Yeah, and this episode, I think it's very intriguing. Again, there's nothing like the Chucky universe, so expansive and weird, where it's like they're really expanding these characters now. And we're really going to see how they're going to intertwine here. So it's something so unique, so different. There's really nothing like it. So, yeah, not horribly disappointed in this episode, just very different than what we've usually been getting.
Absolutely. But alrighty, guys, it's going to wrap us up here for our conversation on Chucky episode 4. If you guys are keeping up with the series week to week, go ahead and comment down below. Let me know what you guys thought. If you think I'm way off base and need to go do my homework before I continue watching any more of this series, please let me know. But other than that, we do have a couple of new episodes up on the channel. We just had our Halloween ranking. We ranked the entire series front to back, which was pretty fun, as well as a new episode of our podcast with the Black Phone. And keep an eye out because Friday we have ourselves a special live stream coming to you at, I believe, 9 o'clock is when I set that.
I believe so.
Where we're going to be watching Halloween 4, Return of Michael Myers. So that's going to be quite a bit of fun. And then, of course, keep an eye out for the giveaway announcement on Halloween. We're going to be doing that around 8 o'clock. I'll be posting the live stream for that here shortly. So that way you guys can get in there and notify yourselves when we're going to be doing it. But we'll be giving away a copy of the Black Phone on Blu-ray as well as a Splatterthon mug, which will be a lot of fun. And then other than that, you can keep up with us on our social medias at Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at SplattercastPod. And yeah, I guess that's going to wrap us up here. Luke, you got anything for the folks?
No, just another busy week here. We are winding down on the Splatterthon, but still got a long way to go. And we will be back here next week to tackle some more Chucky.
Absolutely. And if you feel we deserve it, if you think you like the content so far, please go ahead and subscribe. We are trying to reach 500 before the end of October. Like I said, that'd be a wonderful Halloween gift for the channel, and we appreciate it. So thank you. And till next time, I'm Dylan Newell.
And I'm Luke Janesco.
And remember, stay scared.